Thanks for joining us for KARE 11 News at noon. We start with breaking news out of New York City, where the CEO of Minnetonka-based United Healthcare has been shot and killed. We have Chris Harapsky joining us now in the studio after hearing from police just moments ago. Chris?
Yeah, Alexis, Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, it's a subsidiary of United Health Group, was shot and killed this morning at 6:40 a.m. Eastern Time in New York City, outside the Hilton Hotel in Midtown. He was in town for an annual investor conference there. Now, about an hour ago, we heard from the police commissioner of NYPD, who said this does not appear to be random, but rather a targeted attack from the shooter. The shooter is not in custody at this time, and the NYPD is trying to track down the person as we speak. Here is an unedited version of what the commissioner just told the public.
The victim was walking to the Conference Hotel. The suspect approached from behind and fired several rounds, striking the victim at least once in the back and at least once in the right calf. Many people passed the suspect, but he appeared to wait for his intended target. The suspect fled, first on foot, then on an e-bike, and was last seen in Central Park on Center Drive early this morning. The victim was removed to Roosevelt Hospital, where he was pronounced. We've been in touch with his family, his friends, and his colleagues, and they are very much in our thoughts and prayers at this hour. The full investigative efforts of the New York City Police Department are well underway, and we will not rest until we identify and apprehend the shooter in this case. The women and men of the NYPD take enormous pride in the work that they do each day and each night to drive down crime and violence in our city. Right now, we are asking the public for your help. If you have any information about this case, call Crime Stoppers at 800-577-TIPS. We have increased the reward in this case to $10,000. I want to be clear. At this time, every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack. Millions of people will be enjoying the tree lighting tonight, among other holiday events, and the NYPD will be out there with them, keeping them safe.
Now, we have multiple reporters gathering info as we speak. Lauren Lemanchek tells us Minnetonka police say they have had no previous calls from United Healthcare or employees about any previous threats. No one from New York City has reached out to them yet about the investigation. Undoubtedly, they will. Right now, there are extra patrols at the UHC campus, just as a precaution, and they are in touch with UHC security and communicating there. Again, the headline here, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, shot and killed in what appears to be a targeted shooting. He was 50 years old. I'll be back at 12:30 with any updates as we learn them. Alexis?
Chris, thank you. We're also following a big story in our weather today. The temperatures are expected to plummet. John is in the backyard with what we need to know. Hey, John.
Hey, yeah, I mean, it is howling out here in the backyard. It was quiet, it was calm this morning when you got up, and now the winds have taken over. And to go along with that, we had our first snow squall that was issued, now canceled, but it was up towards areas in the northeast portion of the viewing area. And again, you can see this over towards Twin Cities now, just on the east side. This would be Woodbury, and then stretching down towards River Falls. So most of this activity continues, and we're really looking at this to really move down to the southeast as we continue throughout the day. We've been watching this. Again, what is a snow squall? A snow squall is actually an area, a very small area, typically behind a cold front, that can drop visibilities quickly. So I want you to watch out for that if you guys are actually going to be traveling, and you can see that down to the south and east and moving in that direction. So there's a little closer look there. You can see Woodbury, Hastings, you're in that, and I'll actually just circle where this is located to make this easier for you. So it's, again, right here. It's not very big, but that will drop visibility. Now I'm looking behind this for another one. I don't see anything developing at this point, but look at the winds. 33, 40 mile per hour wind gusts in Rochester, and here are those wind chills just starting to drop here. We feel like 3. We've already dropped about 25 to 30 degrees in this category. Make sure to bundle up here, especially if you're heading outside. We'll track the fall in your full forecast.
John, thank you. And today, a 16-year-old boy is still in intensive care after falling through the ice on Mark Graff's Lake earlier this week. He was one of multiple people who were rescued or recovered in just one day. Audrey Rousseau has the latest on what those operations looked like from Woodbury.
3 people rescued in 2 separate missions here in Woodbury in 2 separate lakes. That is what Woodbury fire officials were up against on Monday. It was quite the hectic scene, especially given the fact that the last time Woodbury Fire had to do an ice rescue before this week was about 20 years ago. Unfortunately, this time around, they had some new technology to help them out. Take a look at this video. This is from Monday's first rescue on Wilmus Lake. You can see that highlighter colored boat pulling a man out. They say that that boat can inflate in about 2 minutes. Now, the longer rescue was the second rescue on Markgrafs Lake. That took longer. A 12-year-old girl was pulled out in about 15 minutes, and we know she is doing better this morning. But the 16-year-old boy who was also rescued was in the water longer. He is still in critical care this morning. Now, DNR officials are warning that no ice is 100% safe. And this early in the season, you're not likely to find that minimum 4 inches of newly formed ice needed to support a person's weight.
On one water body, you can have 4 or more inches of ice in one spot, and just a few feet away, you can be down to 1 or 2 inches of ice. So just because you measured and found 4 inches in one spot doesn't mean that you can just go wandering all over this water body without continuing to check.
Now, if you go through the ice yourself, DNR officials say it's important to have ice picks with you, particularly in pockets that are easily accessible. They also say you should be wearing a flotation vest made out of foam because the inflatable ones don't reliably work in the cold. And if you see someone else go through the ice, they say it is critical to call 911. Don't try to go in and rescue the person yourself. Let the emergency crews do their job. Back to you.
Well, heads up if you live in Edina. Right now, police are warning about a recent string of auto thefts and home burglaries in the Country Club neighborhood. Now, police say that suspects are smashing car windows to steal valuables, including garage door openers, which they're using to get into people's homes. Investigators also say that they've arrested 2 people in connection to the incidents, but there could be more suspects. Officers are reminding everyone not to leave valuables in their car and to lock all doors. Well, 2 years after 6-year-old Eli Hart was killed by his own mother, his family settled a lawsuit with Dakota County, saying she should not have had custody. Police found Eli Hart's body in the trunk of his mom's car in May of 2022, following a traffic stop. His mom, Jaleesa Thaler, was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Meanwhile, Eli's dad filed a federal lawsuit against Dakota County, alleging that the county's Child Protective Services system failed by placing Eli back with his mom. Eli's foster mom also says this case shines a spotlight on those failures.
And we really hope that they look at Eli's case and really dig deep into how they do everything and change things to do a better job at protecting these children, because they definitely 100% failed Eli.
The case settled for just more than $2 million. Dakota County issued a statement offering condolences to the family, but they say the settlement is not an admission of wrongdoing. In the last 24 hours, the Hennepin County Board approved a $5.4 million plan to move some of the county's inmates to other jails through May. The funding comes just 2 days before a state deadline to get the Hennepin County jail population under 600 people. 2 weeks ago, Sheriff Dewana Witt had asked the board for $8 million to have 21 other counties temporarily house inmates. Well, today we know more about how layoffs at Cargill locations all around the world will impact workers right here in Minnesota. Nearly 500 workers at the company's Wayzata headquarters are being cut as part of what the company is calling a restructure. According to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, 475 people will be laid off in February. In all, Cargill says it will cut 8,000 jobs in 70 countries.
But I do think coming out of the pandemic, everyone's having to adjust their business model. Everyone's having to take into account some changes. Plus, they're all facing this issue about tariffs. So I do think there is some wider significance for some of the brand names in corporate America are struggling as they're adapting to this new business environment.
Well, Cargill is America's largest privately held company. The cuts amount to about 5% of its global workforce. In just minutes, Minnesota's top financial experts will release the state's budget and economic forecast for the month of November. Every few months, we get an updated version of the budget forecast. Lawmakers will use today's report to craft policy decisions during the upcoming legislative session. The 2 most recent forecasts have shown a structural imbalance, meaning that the state is projected to spend more than it takes in. but it still has enough overflow money to stay out of a true deficit. We'll have a breakdown of the numbers tonight, starting at 4.